Hello, I am back with another video. Today, I want us to take a deep breath and I want us to exhale, breathe in and breathe out because this is going to be a kind of tough video for me because this is my life that I'm getting ready to share with you guys. And, there is still some intense moments dealing with this situation of my life because of who it came through. But at the same time, I have decided that I will open up and begin to share my life with the world because I want people to be free. There's many people that don't understand that witchcraft and anxiety goes together. When you don't know something, because God said, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And so when you don't know something, you can't deal with it. And so I want to open this up to you. I'm going to go beyond the surface, what you see I have here at the bottom of witchcraft and anxiety, going beyond the surface of what people can see concerning witchcraft. Because you don't understand that this stuff puts fear in you, because that's all anxiety is. But I'm going to open you guys up and I'm going to show you, those of you who maybe deal with anxiety or deal with anxiety and you really don't understand like what's happening, what's going on with me. So back in 2020 or 2021, it's one of the two. Okay. um the Lord began to bring my past back up to me, my childhood back up to me. And all I know is I was having these memories that I'm like, wait, what is this? Because I had no recollection of this stuff happening to me. Okay. No recollection of me being beat, and anything like that, which I'm gonna get into in just a few minutes, of what caused all of this. So I have to set the stage for you guys to be able to see where it came from. So when God began to give me the memories, I did not understand like why, like what these memories coming from. What is this? And so I began to question God, and I began to cry because I was remembering things. I was having these memories that I did not want. Okay, I did not want these memories. But for those of you who know that consciously we don't deal with things, but subconsciously we do deal with things. That means when you're asleep, when you're out of it, your subconscious, what we don't deal with consciously, our subconscious deal with this. And so a lot of time my subconscious, and I'm gonna tell you in just a few minutes, like I said, I gotta set the stage, pave the way for you so you can see exactly like what happened, how it all happened, how I got here, so forth and so on. So I remember going to Florida. I was invited to Florida by a prophet friend of mine at the time. And I didn't expect to be prophesied to or anything. But time I walked in the room, the prophet met me basically before I even sat down. And she said to me that the Lord said, you've been having these memories and you've been asking him, what are the memories that you are having? The Lord told me to tell you it is something that you are dealing with in your childhood, and he wants you to deal with it. That's why he had to bring it back up. So, I really didn't give it a thought again. I did not. All I know is it kept going. It did. It kept going. And I was like, man, I don't want to deal with this because I was having intense feelings from this. I was having intense feelings from this. So go back to my childhood, living with my dad. My dad was a very mean man. My dad was in the Freemasonry, which at the time I did not know that was witchcraft. Okay. But I noticed the signs that he would have with the little, a like a I'm gonna pull it up and show you when I go to my other screen because I can't really describe, like it's like a V, then it's like a A, and with like this little G in it. It looks weird, but it's a Mason sign, okay? And so he would have it on all of his cars. He would have it inside of his house. He even have the outfit, with the big hat and all that stuff, this sword thing that they be having. Like, he have everything. Let me tell y'all something. I did not know what the Freemasonry stood for. I did not, because I was just a child. I was 9 years old at the time. So I was just a child who was trying to live, who was trying to just be happy, okay? Well, I know he was talking about putting my sister and I in the Eastern Stars part, which was the women part, but thank God he never went through with it. That all honor, praise, and glory go to God, because God did not allow it to happen. So fast forward, my sister and I, because my dad was so mean, very controlling, very manipulative, which I did not know at the time. I thought it was normal. I'm going to probably keep saying that, because I want y'all to know I did not understand this. I did not. I had no recollection of what witchcraft is, what being abused was, none of that, okay? Because I was just a child, 9 years old. So my sister and I, any little thing that we did, we would be beat for it. My teacher would lie on me and saying that I was doing things that I was not doing. And I was a child. I did have a mouth, but I was a child that stood up for right. Where if you lie on me, I'm going to tell you that's not true. And I always stood up for myself. But, back then in my days, they would call it talking back. You're talking back when you're really just trying to explain yourself, but you're talking back. And so I would get beatings all the time for standing up for myself, for telling my teachers, like, I did not do that, like I didn't do it. And so one of the teacher who was very close to my dad, because her husband was also in the Freemasonry with my dad, so that was like a that was trouble waiting to happen. Well, that teacher would lie all the time and say that I was doing stuff because she knew my dad, and it's just like she didn't like me at all. And so she would call my dad and tell him that I was talking back to her and da da da. And she knew he was gonna beat me. I'm telling y'all, my dad was very mean. We didn't have no room to do anything. Make bad grades. Oh no. You can't make no bad grades. You're gonna get a beating. Make sure the house is clean. If not, you're gonna get a beating. Make sure the food is done. If not, you're gonna get a beating. Make sure water is with the 5-gallon buckets. At 9 years old, my sister was 11 at the time. My sister and I had to tote water from the well, 5-gallon buckets. It was like 4 buckets we had, because we didn't have running water back then. So it was like 4 buckets that we had. My sister had 2, I had 2, that we had to go and fill. We had to pull the water. Those that had a well, no. We had this basket that you drop over in there, and you pull the water, because the chain was like real long. You pull the water up out there. So we was made to know things early on. We pull the water up, we fill the bucket up, and then we have to tote the bucket in the house ourselves. Not him taking the buckets in the house. We took the buckets in the house, okay? He offered no help. It was like we was prisoners in our own home. Yes. Prisoners in your own home. That is who we was. We was a prison in our own home. We was in bondage in our own home. So if anything was not done right, if we didn't, if it seems like we was doing something that he didn't like, whatever, he beat us. It was abuse. It wasn't a whipping, because he had a gym belt that was thick as it was a whip, okay? That whip that they used to have back in the days, in the slavery days, that type of whip, but smaller, a little smaller than that. It was one of those whip that he used to beat us with, okay? So, I was the one that was always getting whippings all the time. And it was so bad, y'all, where my sisters started taking my whippings. My sister said, no, 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 no. You can don't hit her no more. I'll take her whippings. It was that bad. Yes. It was that bad where my sister was taking my, and he allowed her to do it too. He did. He allowed her to take my whippings. And so, because she didn't want him hitting me, because she knew that when it came to me, it was something about me that he just did not like. And he would beat me the worst. Then we was made to go get in the bed in a dark room. You can't get back up until he say so. You got to stay in the room all day long. That kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. That kind of stuff, like a slavery mindset, a slavery mentality. Okay. So, he would allow us to go with my grandmother, who was drunk all the time. My sister and I would be in the car with her, and she would be driving, going from side to side in the car with us on these dirt back on these dirt roads and stuff like that. And we scared and stuff. But my dad was very controlling. Very controlling. My dad to this day is still very controlling, and God had to break me free from my dad because I had so much fear. Y'all, I did not know I had that much fear of my dad. I did not. One day my dad told me, and this is how I knew. I called him on his birthday, and I said to him, "Hey Pops, happy birthday." And he said, "Don't be calling me Pops. I'm not a Pops. I'm not old." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And it just dawned on me like how mean this man was. I'm grown then when he says this. Not too long ago. About a couple of years ago. And I'm like, did he like, wait a minute. So I didn't say that because, like I said, I was scared. I was so fearful of him. Even when I was grown, I was fearful of him. He used to make us come kiss him on the lips, and we didn't want to, but he still made us get over here and kiss me on the lips. That type of stuff. Like, y'all, I can't. It was beyond crazy. It was beyond crazy, but that was the type of stuff we was in. So my dad was in witchcraft when we was younger, and it was no telling how long he was in witchcraft. It could have been when we was growing up as babies. He probably had joined the Freemasonry then. I don't know exactly how long he been in there, but it was a minute. It was a minute he had been in there. Because I remember when I was younger, like seeing him where, he go to church and like somebody died and they got these gloves on and this big hat and this long tail suit, black and red and white. And I mean, the stuff that you see in a movie, that type of stuff. And I was like, this is crazy. So I remember seeing that when I was younger, just didn't know what it was. But he used to talk to us, like I said, about it, about the Eastern Stars. And so, now, how do witchcraft and anxiety fit together? So, as I told you, my dad was in witchcraft. My dad was very mean. My dad was abusive, which caused me as a child to have anxiety. Witchcraft is control and manipulation. I know people always talk about, witchcraft is the Ouija boards, the tarot cards, the palm reading, and things that you can see. But when I say I'm going beyond the surface of witchcraft, that's just what I meant, because a lot of people don't understand that witchcraft is more than tarot cards, Ouija boards, well, I won't say the occult is like thing because it's still an occult. All of it is occult, like every last bit of it. But the things that you can see that they do, it goes farther than that. I did not know this, but because I am a prophet in the Lord, and the gift comes without repentance. You are born with your gifts, and so my gift showed up early in my life where I was a child that I didn't take anything. Didn't know why. Didn't know why. But if it was wrong, I stood for the truth. Like I was that child that stood for the truth. So I end up fourth grade. I remember we was at field day. They had me on the first leg to run because I was the fastest runner. I learned how to run, y'all, from getting whippings. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But I learned how to run to be one of the fastest runners from getting whippings, okay? I would run from my dad. That's just how many whippings we used to get, and they used to hurt me so bad. Y'all, they hurted me to my soul. When I tell you that hurted me to my soul, where I would holler to the top of my lungs, where I would be like wanting him to stop because it was hurting just that bad, and he still wouldn't stop. It was that type of whipping. The whipping that seemed like it lasts forever and ever, and all you know is like I just needed to stop. It was those type of whippings. So, fourth grade, running on the field. Time I take off running, not even halfway around the field, I fall and I start to breathe hard. And I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You know, I'm out there by myself at the time because everybody else waiting for me to come around the field. But I fall because I can't breathe. I'm gasping for air and I can't breathe. And I'm panicking along with it because this was the first time it happened. So everybody runs over to me and said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I can't breathe." And they're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." So they get my sister to take me to the office where back in my days, 82, when I was born, but this was 5 years. No, not 5 years, because 5 years old, I was in the kindergarten. So a couple of years later, when I was in the fourth grade, is when it shows up. Now, if anybody know, anxiety is an attack, okay? And this is what I want to go show you guys, because we miss, oh Lord, what did I do? Hold on. I don't want my video to end. Give me, oh. I'm still getting used to this. Okay. So let's go to anxiety attacks, okay? Anxiety is an attack. It's not just anxiety, it's an attack. And we're going to go to, in just a few minutes, what an attack is. And I had it pulled up, but I must have erased it. And we're going to go to also witchcraft. Okay. First, we're going to go to anxiety. So for those of you who don't know what anxiety is, and then we're going to go back to my story of how witchcraft followed me in my life, which caused fear in my life, which was an attack that happened on my life, which I did not understand until God started revealing all these things to me. And all of a sudden tonight, when I say I'm gonna, do this video, and I was talking, and actually I was making the video, and then attack came to me. And I was like, wait, anxiety, asthma is an attack, anxiety is an attack. Like, oh my goodness. So let's go to what anxiety is. So anxiety attack is a sudden episode, right, of intense fear. Now, the Bible talks about fear, that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of a power, love, and of a sound mind, right? So it says, or panic that can cause a wide range of physical and psychological symptoms. So when you're dealing with things, you think that it has to all be because you're breathing heavy and like, no. Anxiety shows up in different ways, and I'm gonna tell you the way it showed up in my life. Okay, the first two episodes I had, the first one was I was just breathing hard and couldn't breathe and gasping for air, and then my sister took me to the office. They gave me this brown paper bag where they had me to breathe in this bag because they thought it was asthma, I'm guessing. And then they gave me water where my symptoms subsided. Everything was gone after that. I began to calm down, come back to myself, felt good. But they called my dad, told my dad. My dad come rushed me to the hospital, and where they diagnosed me with asthma. So I was diagnosed with asthma, okay? They said it was asthma. They didn't run no kind of tests. They didn't ask no kind of questions. They just said, this is asthma. It's an asthma attack. Well, I get home that night, about 12 a.m., 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I begin to have another episode, right? So this episode, as I said, the first episode, it wasn't as bad as the second episode. The second episode is when I started vomiting with it. I was gasping for air, but I was vomiting with it, and my dad gets up, rushed me to the hospital again, but this time it's a different hospital where they too say it's asthma. They put my head over in this oxygen thing, like where it was like a hole in this thing. It was this big old long kind of machine where it was a hole in the middle of the machine where I was able to stick my head in the machine because, like I said, I was 9 years old, able to stick my head in the machine, and the oxygen was coming down, coming all over the machine, going up my nose. They was taking my vitals and everything like that. They said it was asthma. They told my dad continually, like, if she have another episode, just give her the pump. Okay, never had another episode whatsoever until later on. This is when now I have moved back with my mother. Now, I got to go back to my dad's house because I got to help you guys to understand it wasn't just the beatings of us, us getting whippings and things like that, well, abused. It was my dad beating women because he would have these girlfriends and he would beat them, right there in front of us, punching doors. They blooded and stuff like that. It was crazy. So we see all of this. They in there fighting, in front of us, and my sister and I seeing all of this, and we hollering and all this different type of stuff, like wanting it to stop. But when he get mad, and he goes off, and he goes in another state because he is not himself. So we would see that too, of him beating women. So it wasn't just us getting, beating from him from, the so-called whippings. It was him, cussing us. It was him beating women. And it was like, I remember, let me see, Priscilla, Sabrina. It was two of them. It was two of them in front of us, two women. These two different at different times, but it was two different women that he was with when we was with him. And then and my dad can't keep a woman in his life. Let me just say that. My dad can't keep a woman in his life. That's part of witchcraft. Witchcraft will not allow you to be happy. Witchcraft will cause you to always, feel like you got to protect yourself in some type of way. Okay. And so fast forward, now we're with my mother. And the attacks starts again. Now I'm in the church. I'm getting prayed for. This is the holiness church supposed to have been. I'm getting prayed for because I have an attack in the church, which was bad. Now, the church supposed to know when someone is dealing with something demonic. And this is how you know when people are not trained, because they just pray for it and that's it. They don't cast it out or cast it down. They just pray for it and they just move on. And this is a problem with the church. What I have seen, it was a problem. You would pray for me concerning anxiety, but how many of us know that anxiety is fear? It's a spirit of fear. God said that. Anxiety is a spirit of fear. It's an attack. Okay, it's an attack. So look right here. It says rapid heartbeat, short of breath, sweating, trembling, or shaking, chest pain or tightness, nausea, dizziness or lightheadedness, feeling of impending doom or loss of control, numbness or tingling, confusion or difficulty concentrating, irritability or agitation. So anxiety shows up in different ways. Okay, it's not just all the time breathing hard. Most of the time it is, but it's more so of having like racing thoughts in your heads and things like that, which I had racing thoughts all the time. It was like, you know, I felt like danger. You know, danger was always, like I said, you're always in the mode of trying to protect yourself. You're always watching over your shoulders. You're always looking at the people around you. You always making sure nobody can hurt you again. You know, that type of stuff. And that's where I was. That's what witchcraft did to me, which caused me to have anxiety attacks. It goes together because it's a spirit of fear. That's what witchcraft does. It's a spirit of fear. And this is why people don't understand what they be doing when they join these occults and things like that. When you're having these people read your palms, tarot cards, Ouija boards, you know, stuff like that. You don't understand what is being injected in your life. I did not ask for this to come in my life. I did not. I was a child, innocent, but how many people know that the enemy plays on the innocent, right? He plays on the innocent. He loves children. And this is why you have to protect your kids at all time, because he is out for blood. Okay. He is out for blood, especially when you have a call on your life like I do. Then, you know, he's there to steal, kill, and destroy, what the Bible tells us that he do. So causes of anxiety attacks can be triggered by various factors, including stressful situation. I know I had to always been stressed as a child. I was always seeing something. I was always going through something. It wasn't just one thing. It was something all the time in my life, y'all. Something all the time. Even when I was with my mother, it was something all the time. And it was like, man, you know, you trying to just live. You're just trying to be a child, and you can't be that, you know. And so, you know, I would see my mom being beat, you know, and then come to find out, I find out that I was the child when my mother was being raped. I was the child in her belly at the time. So there goes more fear, right? There goes more fear. There go more anxiety, you know, stuff like that. So it was an ongoing thing. It was an ongoing thing ever since went from a baby in my mother's womb. I was being attacked from you know, then when I came out my mother's womb, my mom said that the man who raped her took me from her and ran into the woods with me. So it was ongoing attacks, y'all. Ongoing attacks all the time. Witchcraft is real. You don't have to invite it. I never invited it. I never asked for this. But because when you have people lacking knowledge who is close to you, like your father, who is supposed to protect you and keep you safe and love you. Y'all, if you heard, I think I'm going to play the video on here so you guys can see what they say concerning their children when it comes to the Freemasonry. Y'all, I've never seen such thing that it's crazy. It is crazy. So you got physical illness, certain medication, substance abuse, and genetics. Mine was inherited as well. Mine was inherited as well, because come to find out later on, my dad had anxiety too. So he was dealing with some stuff in his childhood, in his life, that he won't ever say. And because he won't ever say, you can't help him, you know. And because he chooses to stay in the Freemasonry as well, that also give the enemy room. It's a door. It opens the door to attacks and things like that. So this is why you have to understand that when you are being mean to people, when you are being controlling, when you are being manipulative, that is witchcraft at its best. And a lot of people don't know this, and it's heavily in the church. Now let's go back to the church. So I told you guys I had done got in the church, right? I had done got in the church, And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm safe. I'm away from my dad. I'm safe. I'm with my mom. Well, no. It starts all over again because we had a stepfather who also was abusive, but he was very verbal abuse. Which one time he hit me and punched me in my eye, and then we end up putting him through the wall. Me, my sisters, and brother. We end up putting him through the wall. But he would cuss us out, say all kinds of things. So this is an ongoing abuse. It was from abuse of being beat and abuse of verbal abuse, and then we went to verbal abuse. And so it was just ongoing abuse all the time, ongoing abuse. Then seeing my mother being beat, you know, as well. That was another thing. So it was just a lot of abuse, a lot of abuse that I don't even know to this day how I overcame, because I know it was because of God, but I'm just saying, like, y'all don't understand what that stuff does to you, what it does to you. And so then a lot of older people back then dabble in witchcraft, which also passed down to their children as well. So it's a lot. Witchcraft runs deeper than you think. Like, it's deeper than you think. And I don't want this video so long, so let's go on through here. So what is witchcraft? Witchcraft is the practice of magic, especially for evil purposes, the use of spells, right? Okay. So it's the use of sorcery or magic, communication with the devil, or with a familiar. So familiar spirits, they live spirit out. Lord, I can't talk now. And irresponsible influence or fascination. Yes. Ritual and practices that incorporate beliefs in magic and that are associated especially with neo-pagan tradition and religion. And we know, they'll go Wicca right now. We know that pagan practices in Deuteronomy 18, which I have pulled up here, where God say that you don't supposed to dabble in these things, which is the pagan practices. That's why we don't do it. Of course, before people get saved, they don't know, but when you get saved, you're supposed to start to learn about these things because they are indeed real. A tradition or religion that involves the practice of witchcraft. So this even a tradition or religion. Man-made religion, yeah. Man-made tradition, yes. That's what that is. That's what witchcraft is. Man-made religion, man-made tradition. Okay? That is witchcraft. It's control and manipulation. What you see in the church, what you see in this world that's going on, where they trying to control, oppressing people, taking people money, taking people houses, taking their belongings, sleeping around with men who are not, theirs, men sleeping around with women's, all that stuff is witchcraft because it's a control, y'all. I can tell y'all so much that I had to go through that y'all don't understand that, baby, this stuff runs deep. It does. It runs deep and it's real because due to the fact people want so much power and so much control, they would do when you are out here trying to hurt people, which is what witchcraft is. When you're out here hurting people, that is witchcraft, y'all. That is witchcraft. When you intentionally hurt people, that is witchcraft. When you do evil for evil, that is witchcraft because it's power and control. It's power and control. So men's, if you sleeping around with women's, that is witchcraft. Because it's a seducing spirit. Seducing is witchcraft. Women's, if you sleeping around with different men's, you're using your body to get men. That's a seducing spirit. That is witchcraft. It's a form of control and manipulation. That is witchcraft. And God says, suffer not a witch to live. A woman and a man can be a witch. It ain't just a woman. A woman and a man can be a witch. Okay? as in sorcery, the power to control natural forces through supernatural means. So that's why they use magic and things like that. That's why they use their body. It's like casting a spell, necromancer. That is talking to the dead. When you talk to the dead, enchantment, devilry, witchery, voodooism, and ism is okay. Voodooism, that ISM, it is racism. Okay, it's discrimination, it's racism. Yes, against a certain people. This stuff can't, y'all. I can talk so much, like Lord have mercy. All that stuff that happened to black people back then, back in the days, y'all, that was nothing but witchcraft. The supremacists, because I want to say some more stuff, but I'm gonna hold it because God has gave me some stuff to share concerning that situation. The control and manipulation is real. And then y'all wonder where it comes from. The White House, these people sitting up, figuring out how they can control people, how they can manipulate the masses, how they can cause people to fall over, that type of, yeah. It goes deep, y'all. It runs deep. And so when black folks be ignorant and start dabbling in this stuff, you don't know they did it to you first. That's where you get it from. You just adopted the supremacist ways. That's all you did. You adopted their ways and you started putting it on your children's. You started putting it on your children's children and children's children and children's children. And then you want to say racism. Racism. Listen, racism run deep. Ism, ISM, look it up. It runs deep. It's discrimination. It's racism. Against women's, yes, against women's, against wanting you to drink yourself to death. All that stuff, it's a control. Wanting you to go out and have sex, it's a control. They make condoms for you to just go have sex with different people. It's a control. It's a control. And y'all got to understand this, and this is why they don't want you to know stuff. This is why they didn't want us to learn how to read back in the days, because it uncovers everything that God uncovers. The Holy Spirit has revealed so much to me, and I thank God for God. I thank God for the Holy Spirit, because y'all, God is real. Revelation from God is real. And God, if you want to know, God will teach you. He will teach you. He won't let you be ignorant. You don't have to dabble in witchcraft. See, this stuff that you see these prophets doing. They think they doing something, but all they doing is following the white man. All you doing is following what the white man did to you. That's all that is. And you think you're doing something so cute, and you're not. What pagan practices come from? Huh? Y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up. Spiritualism, which is pagan practices. Glamour, your beauty, using your beauty. These women's, dressing up for men to look at them and stuff like that. That's why you have to be careful. That's why you have to be careful. Why are you doing what you're doing? Not saying that you can't, but why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you naked walking in the street, showing your body, showing your titties, showing your vagina? You got women's with half dressed now. That stuff is witchcraft. And then y'all want to sit here and act like you know some stuff, and you don't. You don't. You don't know where it came from. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to open the Holy Spirit, because he gave it to me. Want to open a lot of people's eyes, because you don't understand what happened. What happened, y'all? What happened? Curse. Divining. Yeah. When you curse somebody or cuss somebody, you putting a curse on people. That's why God don't want no foul language coming out your mouth, because you putting a curse. And God said, what I curse can't no man, what I bless can't no man curse. Okay? So you can't be right here cursing at people because you're trying to put a curse on them. You just like the witch to God. It's the same thing. Fortune telling, forecasting. Now, let's look at this attack. Huh. Attack means to take aggressive action against a place or enemy forces with weapons and armed force, typically in a battle war, right? An aggressive and Lord, I don't want too far. An aggressive and violent action against a person or a place. Onslaught, offense, huh? Wait, let me go back right here. Look here. To set upon or work against forcefully. To assail with unfriendly or bitter words. Your words. That's why I say your words. That you can kill somebody and you can bring somebody back to life. That's why God said there's power in the tongue. To begin to affect or to act on injuriously. To set to work on. To begin to eat food eagerly. That's an attack. That's an attack. Eating food eagerly. That's an attack from the enemy. That's anxiety. That's an attack. That is paranoia. That's an attack. Hmm. This is listen, look at here. As in raid, the act or action of setting upon with force or violence. Offensive. Offense. Look at that. Offense. Witchcraft is a sin. It's an offense. It's a crime against God. That's an offense. There's an ambush. Look at him. Ambush. Attack. An attack is an ambush. So anxiety attack is an ambush from the enemy. Pillage. Some of the word God gave me. Counter assault. As in bout, a sudden experience of a physical or mental disorder. Seizure. Seizures are an attack. They are an attack. It's something that came from somewhere. It's an attack from the enemy. Spasms. An attack. Eclampsia is an attack. Collapse is an attack. As into assault. To take sudden violent action against. Look at him. Beat up on. Trying to push you aside. To loot. Wow. Batter. As into slam, to criticize harshly and usually publicly. Insult, scold. This is why you have to be careful what you're saying to people. It's an attack. It's an attack. Criticize. Beat up on. Reprimand, which is criticism as well. Blasphemy. To trash talk somebody. To harass somebody. Bad mouth. Disparage, which is another word God gave to me. As in to approach, to start work on energetically. To tackle. This is crazy. Undertake. So all of that, it was an attack on my life. That was an attack on my life. That's why it's called anxiety attack. That's why it's called um what's that other one? Oh Jesus. Seizures is an attack. So why are you being attacked? There's something on your life. Why are you being attacked? If you being attacked, that means something is on your life. There's an offense from somebody that's against you. And they want to take you up out of here. That's why people attack people. Think about it. The attack comes because there's something on your life. The enemy has it out for you. Aggression. Look at that. Invasion. So you breaking in now. You breaking into somebody's house to attack them. Yeah. You got something that I want. That's an attack. That's what attacks come from. That's what the invasion is. I'm breaking into your house because you got something that I want. Storm. Hail. This is crazy. To charge somebody. Charge. That's an attack. Some of this stuff I'm not going to talk about because God gave me some stuff on those already that I think I share or I need to share when it came to flurry and all that. To charge at somebody. Yeah, that's an attack. An attempt to take somebody's life. That's an attack. So with that, there comes jealousy, envy, strife, malice. All of that stuff comes with the attacks. To strike at somebody. When you want to fight somebody, as in to walk, to refuse to work in order to force an employer to meet demands. To walk out. We seeing that today. As into affect, to act upon a person or person's feelings so as to cause a response. This is what, see this right here? That's an attack. To strike somebody, to cause them, you want a response from them. So to disturb somebody intentionally, afflict, bias. You have your opinion about a person. You're a very biased person. Partiality. Don't like to deal with certain people. Distress. To cause a person to go into distress. Enthrall. Charm, which is witchcraft. Perturb, when your mind is all over the place. Captivate. All this stuff. Look at here. To strike somebody. That's an attack. Put an impact on somebody. That's an attack. So a person who attacks you, there is something on your life that that person wants. That's why the attacks happen. Your life means something. And some of us think that our life don't mean nothing, but if the enemy is attacking you, there is something on your life that he wants. And like I said, look at bewitch right there. Strike, to bewitch somebody. Um, why all the attacks? Why all the attacks? But God just showing us there is something about your life. Ravage is, I think this is one where women's being raped at. I think that's the one. Let me see. To feel overwhelming emotions as wonder or delight, rapture. Not that one. As in to violate. Yeah, right here. To engage in sexual activity, especially intercourse with a person unwillingly or unable to consent. Look at that. To force somebody to violate, rape. Yes, ravage. That's an attack. You got something that person want. That's why they take it. That's control and that's manipulation. Do y'all see now how witchcraft and um anxiety works together? It's meant to put fear in you. It's meant to cause fear in you. And so the attacks have to come. That's why the enemy attacks certain peoples. Because there is something to that person's life that they don't understand. And spiritism right here. Here is all of it. You can go and read it for yourself. Deuteronomy 18, which is the amplified version. Right here. This is talking about pagan practices, which is what spiritism is. It's a spirit. There you go. It's a spirit. The Bible said we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness, rulers of darkness, principality, powers in high places. It is a spirit that you are fighting with. God said your warfare are not carnal, but to the pulling down of strongholds. Okay? Listen, hold on. Because I want to say this right. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Whew, Jesus. The weapons of our warfare are not physical, okay? Meaning carnal. Weapons of flesh and blood. Our weapons are divinely powerful for the destruction of fortresses. So it is a spiritual fight. All my life, I've been being attacked by the enemy. That's where all this came from. And I didn't realize it. That's what all of this is. It's an attack on my life to take me up out of here because of what's on my life. And then because I didn't do what it wanted me to do, because my dad sacrificed my life to the enemy. Yeah, he did. Sacrifice my life to the enemy. And then when you break the agreement that your dad made with the enemy, that's a problem. Let's look at, let me show y'all something. Let me see, is that video still here? And then I'm done. Then I'm done. The clips. I pulled the clip on the Freemason. Listen to this, y'all.
When you join the Freemasons, and they do certain things to you. They have actions that they do. They'll put a hood over your head at the second degree. It's called the hood wink ritual. They will expose your chest by opening your shirt, and they will take a bare.
Well, I'm already out on that part.
Yes.
They'll take a bare blade of a dagger, and they lay it down over your chest, and the what you say is, may my heart be cut out as with this dagger, should I ever break the Masonic line. But then you pledge all of your progeny in perpetuity to the service of Jabulon and the lodge. That means you took a blood oath, and you pledged that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren, forever and ever, amen, will serve Jabulon, who we've already said is a cipher for Satan himself, and the Masonic, when you join the Freemasons. And they do certain things to you. They have actions that they do. They'll put a hood over your head at the second degree. It's called the hood wink ritual.
Yeah, that's what he did. That's what he did. Who is you to give my life to somebody? Who is you to sacrifice my life to the devil and tell the devil I will serve him for the rest of my life? Who is you to give my life away to somebody when you never asked me? That's control, right? That's control and that's manipulation. So you sacrifice your children. That is somebody who don't care anything about their kids nor care anything about themselves. That's control and manipulation at its best. When you sacrifice somebody's life that you never asked, could I sacrifice your life? You never asked them. God don't just um cause us to make us do anything that we don't want to do. We There's a response, a certain response that God is looking for, and it's the response of whether we want to or not, and that's called free will. And so when you take somebody free will from them and you sit up and you cause attacks to that these people life, and it was an attack on my life because I'm a prophet of the Lord. And so that of course there's going to be an attack on my life. I was already target. I was already a target. That's why I didn't go through what went through for nothing. I went through for other people, people like you, people who's gonna watch this video and say, "Oh my God, I did not know this." Yes, this is why, because our life, we sacrifice ourselves to save somebody else. That's what we do. And so, like Jesus sacrificed his life to save the sins to save us from the sins of the whole world. Jesus sacrificed himself. And so we sacrifice ourselves. We give up our life to help other people. We give up our life for the Lord. The Bible said, I give my body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is my reasonable service. That's what I'm supposed to do. It's my service. I'm his workmanship. It's my service. It's my agreement to him. It's what I agreed to when I gave my life to him. It's what I agreed to. Which they don't tell you all of this. They don't tell you all of this, that hey, there's a price that comes with living for the Lord. And you automatically becomes a target. But as the enemy has always done, where like he did Jesus, there's a baby that's coming to this world, and that baby is going to save the people from having to go to hell. He's going to be he's going to sacrifice himself on behalf of the human race. And so what the enemy try to do, he try to stop it. He tried to stop it, and he has always tried to stop. So what do they say? Go and kill all the babies. They give order to go kill all the firstborn babies, because the enemy he's not omni science. He don't know all things. He can't be everywhere at one time like God can. So he has to try to figure out what's the next move, who the next baby is that's coming to do XYZ for the world, and we got to get rid of this baby. That's why my mother was attacked with me in her womb, because this baby is a threat to my kingdom. I'm done, y'all. I'm done. And I'm done. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.